Okay, thank you for inviting me, and also I'm very happy all of you came to listen in. So I'm going to talk about immediate sequential bilateral implantation of Intensity Pentafocal lenses. And well, the Intensity and the Intensity Toric, those are both the lenses that we use. They're pentafocal lenses, and as you've heard before from the other speakers, how they work. Basically, what we have is a reiteration in which there is a dynamic utilization of the light, and this causes increased light transmission. And as Gerd was saying, we're actually reaching the limit of what these lenses can do in those terms. If you look at the distribution of the light between the foci, then here you can see that all the foci more or less get the same amount of light, between 2 and 3 millimeters, and the distance, of course, gets more as the pupil gets wider, because otherwise our patients will crash their cars at night. Now, in terms of maximal light utilization, the intensity is really at the top compared to all the other lenses that are trifocal. This is, however, a pentafocal lens, so in this case, more is more. The pentafocal lens is a diffractive lens with a spherical aberration adjustment, and the light is utilized to and from the multiple foci, and like this you have an amplification of the light, and this should reduce the halos in theory. Now, the purpose of our study was to look at the refractive and the visual acuity outcomes, and to do defocus curves of our patients, and also look at how well are we performing doing bilateral implantation. And we used in the intensity and the intensity toric based on our calculation on the best predicted refraction post-op. We looked at how many complications we had, what was the percentage of patients complaining about halos at 3 months, and how many patients still were using reading glasses. It's a retrospective case cohort study. It's our audit data, so it's very reliable. Immediate sequential bilateral implantation according to the Dutch cataract guideline. The analysis point was at 3 months. All our patients signed informed consents. We did a phacoemulsification, and we did a refractive lens exchange or a cataract as an indication. And I was lucky enough to do all the surgeries, so I had the fun. In terms of demographics, we have 50 patients, 100 eyes, 3 months follow-up. 94 eyes were refractive lens exchange, 6 eyes cataracts. The majority were males. The mean age nearly 58 years old, and the youngest was 46 years old, and the oldest was nearly 70 years old. The lenses, in terms of which we used, 50 were the intensity and 50 were intensity toric. Now, in this crowded slide, you can see our pre to post-op results in terms of the sphere, the cylinder, the spherical equivalent, and the mean absolute error. So, as you can see, the mean post-op sphere is around emetropia. The mean post-op cylinder is around minus 0.12. The spherical equivalent is very low, minus 0.03, and the mean absolute error is nearly a quarter of a diopter. And all of these changes pre to post-op were highly statistically significant. Now, in terms of visual acuity, so the distance visual acuity with at infinity was a decimal 1.1 or logmar minus 0.11, which is really excellent. The intermediate, I took both spots of the trifocal lenses that are in the market, so the 80 centimeters and the 67 centimeters. And here we can see that at 80 centimeters, vision is about decimal 1.0 and logmar 0.02. And for the 67 centimeters, the visual acuity is logmar minus 0.02, a bit better than the 1.0 decimal. And for near vision, this is on par at 40 centimeters. So this is really very high in terms of results. Here you can see the results in cumulative visual acuity. These are the standardized graphs of Dan Reinstein. And it's 100 eyes. I don't know why the 94 is still showing up. In any case, you can see that post-operative uncorrected distance acuity is really good in most of our patients, while they also get a lot of near visual acuity. In terms of the spherical equivalent refraction, the outcome is 91% for between minus and plus 1/2 of a diopter. 99% are within 1 diopter. The attempted versus the achieved refraction you can see here, so we're actually getting very good outcomes in these terms. Now, this is the calculator that I got from Adia Boulafia for the toric ones. And what we do is last year we published in the American Journal of Ophthalmology that we should be using the post-operative refractive prediction on when to implant toric IOLs. And I've been implanting toric IOLs with low toric powers since 2015, basically. And as you can see, the results for the 50 toric lenses are exceedingly good, in my opinion. Here you can see it also from pre-operative corneal astigmatism to post-operative refractive astigmatism, because that's what's interesting to us post-operatively. And in blue you can see that 81% have a refractive astigmatism of less than 1/4 of a diopter, 92% under 1/2 of a diopter, and so on. This is the defocus curve, and in this defocus curve, what you can see is that, as it was mentioned in the previous talks, that there isn't the usual 2 bumps of the far and the near vision, but that we can see here that this lens holds out the intermediate, mainly from the distance to nearby, on all intermediate foci. And this is very interesting. And if you look at it in another way, so we have a visual acuity that's better than decimal 0.8 or logmar 0.1 between plus 1/2 a diopter until -3. That's really extraordinary in my opinion. But if we look at the minimal visual acuity that we have in the defocus curve, so the 0.02 that we can see at -1 diopter, and we take that line, we can see that between a little bit above plano until a little bit beyond -2.5 diopters, our patients have more or less 20/20 vision on all distances, and this is really good. How does this translate to the clinics? It's no complaints about computer work. That's basically it. Here you can see the defocus curve in which the lenses are compared, the intensity is compared to 2 market leaders, the Acrylisa and the Panoptics. And again, you can see that for the distance, they're more or less on par. For the very near vision, we miss a couple of letters, but I think it's this plateau here, which is really giving the patients a kind of I would like to call it zooming vision. It's not true, but their vision from distance to near is very equal and very dependable, and they seem to like it. So, in terms of halos and freedom from glasses, we had 14% of patients complaining about halos, not leading to major dissatisfaction. And at 100% of these patients were not using any reading glasses for distance whatsoever. In terms of satisfaction, 96% of the patients are satisfied, two patients are not satisfied because of a residual refractive error, which I'm going to alleviate shortly. In terms of complications, we had one eye with the CME treated and resolved. One person had a posterior vitreous detachment within 3 months. We had one patient complaining about a dry eye, and the two, as I mentioned, the two eyes in which I will have to do a touch-up. So the conclusion is that Intensity performs well in terms of refractive outcomes, visual acuities at all predetermined distances. 2% need a touch-up, and I think this is exceedingly low, especially if you look at the literature where the percentages for touch-ups is anywhere between 9 and 26%. And I think the reason for this is our very low threshold to use the toric lenses. I think this is really a must in order to achieve better outcomes for our patients. And in this, I think that the plate haptics platform for the Intensity Toric, it's very stable, very nice. I'm very pleased with my own outcomes. Thank you.